Hi everyone, long time no see, sorry about that. I am finally back with another tea update. I've had a lot going on the past 2 months, what with work and Tokyo Rainbow Pride, where I got this by the way, yay, and my own personal projects, but gonna do my best to cram 2 months worth of happenings and not happenings into this video. It might get a little long, but before I get into that, back to those personal projects that I've been working on. One of the projects that I've been working on is finally live now. I have a new website, or rather a new blog. My blog on Tumblr has served as the corresponding blog for this channel, but going forward, I will now be updating my new blog at QueerAsCat.com. Easy to remember, right? QueerAsCat.com. You should bookmark it right now, maybe. Or even follow it. Oh my god, that would be awesome. But going forward, QueerAsCat.com will be where I post my writing, and I hesitate to even call it writing because really I just feel like it's word vomit. The exact same thing that you see me do on this channel, except possibly even less organized and in written format instead of verbal. Even just random thoughts that I have. I am much more active on there than I will ever be on YouTube, so if you want to see what I'm up to, check out QueerAsCat.com. I am also injecting my photography into this website, which is something that I didn't do on Tumblr. I want to bring random writing, thoughts, and photography, which is my hobby, together, and that is one of the main things that I'm trying to do with this blog, so check that out. You can see photos of Tokyo Rainbow Pride. I took over 1,000 photos, and I chose the best ones and put them up there. But anyways, going on to the actual purpose of this video. As usual, this video will be broken up into 2 sections. The first section, the beginning of the video, will be me just talking about random things that have happened over the past 2 months. And then the second part of the video will be me talking about TMI, too much information, more graphic stuff that you may not want to hear about. So if you're not interested in me talking about that kind of not safe for work stuff, you can skip over that section of the video. I will put a timestamp on the video for you to skip ahead if you want. But unlike other videos, this video will have a third section. The third section of this video will be me talking about my thoughts in stopping tea. But anyways, let's get started. I am now 5 months on injectable tea, 120 milligrams every other week. The first thing I'm going to talk about is pretty obvious just from looking at my face. Acne. I've had increased acne starting in the 4th month on tea, I think. It was already coming on in the 3rd month, but it got noticeably worse the 4th month. And I feel like it has gotten pretty bad. It's a little better now, but it got pretty bad by my standards. You can see a lot of scarring, especially on this side of the face too, but especially on this side of the face, where it was really bad, worse than it is now. I finally discovered a face wash that I started using about 3 weeks ago and have tried to get into a routine of using it, and my face has gotten better and feels a million times better since doing that, but that was after it had already gotten pretty bad. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, skin picking is a problem, something that I struggle with, and so really bad by my standards. Acne plus skin picking equals scarring like this, so know that it's a lot better than it looks, but yeah, it was pretty bad and it's still something that I'm trying to manage. Actually, I also want to mention that I haven't just gotten acne on my face, I've also gotten on my chest and a little bit on my shoulders, but most notably on my chest. And I must say that getting as much acne on my chest as I have been getting has really caught me off guard. And not just acne, I have also started to get body hair growth on my chest. And yeah, that's really caught me off guard because I know this is embarrassing to admit. It's gonna make me look ridiculous because it is ridiculous. But when I was thinking about going on tea and thinking about body hair growth and stuff and how I felt about it, you know, I resigned myself to the fact that body hair growth is gonna be a thing, okay, but it really didn't occur to me that body hair growth on my chest might be a thing for me, and it has has started to be a thing for me, and I'm just like, I don't particularly care for it, but also I'm not bothered enough by it to be upset or anything about it. It is what it is, but yeah, it's kind of annoying. That aside, I've also seen more body growth over the past 2 months on my legs, on my arms, on my face, on my stomach, but none of it is a whole lot. It's still so short and very fine and thin that you won't really see it unless you get up on me and you're looking for it. So, I mean, I'm not particularly bothered. On my face, where I said before I was getting some hair growth here, that continues to be a thing. It's gotten a little longer and it's come in a little more, but it's still very short and very, very fine and thin, so I don't know. Soon I might have to, like, maybe shave, but right now I'm just hoping nobody notices. The other change that I'm sure is obvious is my voice. My voice has continued to drop over the past 2 months, and I feel like it goes through kind of like a cycle or stages where it drops a little, plateaus out, stays there for a little bit, but then drops a little bit again, plateaus, drops, blah blah blah. And right now I feel like another drop is coming on because my voice is doing that thing again where it doesn't crack, it just breaks, or it just is gone altogether. Like, I don't even have to be shouting. I can just be trying to boom my voice over a classroom full of obnoxious teenagers, and like, I'm not shouting, I'm not straining my voice even, just speaking as loud as I can, and my voice will cut off, will randomly jump up higher, jump up lower, blah blah blah, and my students think that this is the funniest thing in the world. They think it's hilarious, and it happens so goddamn much that it's all I can do but to laugh with them and like make fun of my own voice, because otherwise I would just be so frustrated and annoyed by it because it's happening so much. I'm a freaking teacher and kids are obnoxious. I have to talk over them all the time. But my voice is just like preventing me from being able to do a lot of things that I need to do in class right now. But anyways, voice dropping, I'm really happy with where it is at right now. I'm really happy with my progress. I mean, I could stand, I think, for it to go just a little bit deeper, but I'm really happy with it. Whenever I hear audio of myself played back at me, for example, when I'm editing videos for this channel, or when I'm sending snaps and the snap is replaying, I honestly forget that I ever sounded any other way, because the way that I sound now sounds like how I should have always sounded. And, you know, that's what I was aiming to achieve mostly, that my voice would become more of what I felt like it should be, and I feel like I'm pretty much there now. I mean, I go back sometimes because I have to and look at past videos and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe my voice ever sounded like that. What the fuck? Because I feel like this has always been my voice now. But yeah, that is really, it feels nice. Having said that, I really have to say that there have been some really, really amusing and funny times along the way to where my voice has finally gotten now. For example, there have been times when my cat Calcifer literally was afraid of me because he didn't recognize my voice, especially when it would come out suddenly at full volume. For example, when I would sneeze or suddenly laugh or cough, he would literally fly off the table because he'd be so startled. And when I tried to come and comfort him to make sure he's okay, because he often lands really awkwardly on his stomach or something because he's really clumsy. But when I try and come after him, he would literally run away from me, looking at me like I'm the fucking devil, like who the fuck are you? Stay away from me. And it's just like so funny. But then again, I totally get it, because there have also been moments where I have coughed or sneezed or just laughed and I've literally startled myself. I've had to adjust to my own voice along the way. For the most part, it's been a smooth transition to where I don't even notice. I mean, I notice because I'm being hyper aware in order to document and notice changes to tell you guys and to record them for myself. But the change has been so subtle mostly that I can't even remember my voice being anything else but what it is now. But at the same time, I do remember being startled by my own voice because it was that shocking. My voice can get pretty deep. I'm talking maybe towards the middle of my register right now. It can go a lot deeper, and it does, especially when I'm coughing or like laughing sometimes, and that is can be really startling, even to me. On my last tea update video, when I was 3 months on tea, I talked about experiencing an improvement in my anemia and having increased energy or stamina. And so I want to kind of follow up on that by saying that, yeah, that is still totally a thing. And actually, back in April, I was forced to undergo a health check. And I say forced to because it's required by my company. In Japan, it's pretty standard that you are required to do an annual health check, because whether you're on national health insurance or a private health insurance through your company or otherwise, usually you have to get an annual health check. So anyways, yeah, I underwent my annual health check along with my coworkers. Part of that health check involved a urine test and a blood test. And yeah, got the results of the health check back a month ago, and to no one's surprise, I totally failed my health check. And it was only because of the blood test and the urine test. Going back to the topic of anemia, I am completely anemia free. Whoa! And I didn't need a test to tell me that. I already know that. I was telling you guys that my anemia has improved. Not only improved, I'm not anemic anymore, and that is awesome. Especially as someone who has had lifelong anemia, such an improvement in my quality of life to not be anemic. But anyways, yeah, I did fail the health check. The blood test came back as showing me as having too many platelets, and the urine test came back basically telling me that I have renal dysfunction, because yeah, the test obviously was run as if I am a cis female, and because of that, I failed. I took my health check results to the doctor that I see for tea, and he confirmed that, yeah, the results came back the way they did because I am taking testosterone, and that otherwise they're fine. That if they had run the test as me being a cis male, then it would have came back not the way it did. And, you know, I feel some kind of way about that because, you know, I don't want to be processed through a system as male or female, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm not worried about having failed the health check because privacy policies are a thing, even in Japan, and so my employer will not see the results of the health check. The results of the health check just tell me that I really, really urgently need to see a doctor. So, whatever. I'm scheduled to get more blood work done in July if I'm still on tea then. More on that later. At the clinic where I get tea, because you're supposed to get blood work done every 6 months, and July will be my 6-month mark. The other thing that I want to touch back on that I've mentioned in previous videos is the increase in body temperature. That is still a thing. And binding, it being summer now, increased body temperature means that I sweat a lot, and it really fucking sucks. I get so fucking hot. Having really long, thick, heavy hair that literally does not allow my neck or back to breathe at all is just shit. But it is what it is. I also want to throw out there, because I did mention having gained weight in my last video, that I haven't gained any more weight, nor have I lost weight. I'm still at the weight that I was before, 2 months ago. But a lot of people mentioned in the comments of my last video that the weight gain probably had to do with muscle gain, because muscle is heavy, and I'm sure that's part of it, but also I think I am just putting on weight. But speaking of weight, I also want to talk about fat redistribution. That has very much been a thing for me over the past 2, even 3 months. My thighs, the fat that was around there has moved up to my midsection, and I still have some fat around my thighs. My thighs are still very much curvy because that's my body type, and that's not going to change, sadly. But I have put on a beer gut, and I am not the least bit happy about that, and I am super self-conscious about that, and I feel like for that reason I need to start working out, because I am really self-conscious. Changing subjects from that, I'm going to go into TMI stuff now. So if you don't want to hear about genitalia, libido, that kind of stuff, then skip ahead now to the time that's on the screen. You can skip this section and then pick up where I start talking about possibly stopping tea. So ready, go. And the first thing I want to talk about is bottom growth. I've talked about this in previous videos, and there isn't a whole lot more to say other than what I've already said, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but sensitivity is nowhere near what it was in the first month or two, thankfully. Bottom growth continues to be a thing. It's really not anything that concerns me or that I really pay much attention to, so I'll leave it at that. Monthly hell continues to not be a thing. I think it hasn't been a thing since my 3rd month on tea, probably, maybe maybe a little before that, but that is not a thing, and I am so fucking thankful. My life is so much better without that fucking monthly hell. I wish to cat God that I could have a hysterectomy before I stopped tea, because I just don't want to go back to having that. Another TMI thing that I want to talk about is libido. I talked about experiencing an increase in libido in my 3-month update video, and I just want to say that I feel like my libido has plateaued off. I can't speak English anymore, whichever of those words is appropriate. And I feel like it's not as annoying as it was, or I'm just not as bothered by it anymore. It's easy enough for me to either ignore it or to take care of it myself and just move on and be done with it. And again, that is just how I particularly feel about my libido increase. Not everyone's gonna feel that way. For some people, it will still very much be an annoyance and still very much be a problem, something that you maybe hesitate to start tea because of. Actually, I've mentioned this in previous videos regarding my experiences with libido, especially as an asexual person who has had sex, etc. And I have been dragging my feet about that video because I'm not sure if people are interested in hearing about that, if it's worth putting that information out there. I mean, I might still make it. I might just turn it into a story time video and tell you guys about one particular thing that happened involving libido. But I don't know. You guys want to hear about being ace, libido, changes, stuff, feels? Anyways, libido aside, bottom growth, monthly hell aside, I don't really have that much to say that is TMI today, so I'm going to end it here. Welcome back to those who skipped ahead in the video. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts in stopping tea. But actually, before I can talk about my thoughts about stopping tea, I need to go into the logistics of stopping tea, because my situation is pretty unique compared to everyone else that I see making these tea updates on YouTube or in general. For me, because I live in Japan, there is a lot more involved in stopping tea. It's not just a matter of me weaning myself off of tea or skipping dosages or changing the frequency of my dosage on my own. Because in Japan, I do not self-administer. Only a doctor can administer tea injections. So the doctor pretty much has complete control over my tea injection. Furthermore, in Japan, being non-binary or ex-gender, as they say in Japanese, it's not recognized by medical practitioners. In order to access tea at all, I specifically had to go to a psychologist and be diagnosed as a trans man. I very much had to work the system to get where I am now, and the doctor that I'm seeing to get tea is under the assumption that I am a trans man. So that leaves me in the position of having to just stop going to that clinic altogether if I want to stop tea, because I cannot ask him to give me a lower dosage. It was a lot to even find a doctor who would allow me to start out low to begin with, and he only let me start out low really under the premise that I would eventually go up to a standard dose. So right now I'm still at what he considers, or what maybe is generally considered to be, a low dosage. So to ask him to decrease my dosage now, to take a step back, is no. I don't know how I could even explain that, like justify that in his eyes. In order to stop taking tea, I have to just literally stop going to the clinic without giving them any explanation. But in doing so, if I were to just stop now, going back in the future, should I want to restart, would be very iffy. I would not just be welcomed back with open arms, I think. There would be a lot of questions there and me having to, explain myself. It's a big decision to make, because restarting, should I want to, is not a guaranteed thing. It's not easy. So yeah, I've been putting a lot of thought into it, and I've been dragging my feet about making a decision one way or another. To say that I'm going to the clinic now every other week on autopilot is a bit of an exaggeration, but it's also kind of true. I'm just continuing at this point until I make a decision, until I feel more certain that I do want to stop stop. So yeah, and I feel like I could stop anytime now. Probably I will have stopped within the next 2 months. So this update may very well be my last update on tea, or it might be my second, probably is my second to last, if not last update. I must say, I am kind of jealous of those in countries who can just stop and start and who administer tea themselves, because that would make my situation different, very different from what I am actually in right now. I am very much torn because I feel like I have a lot of reasons to stay on tea, and I also have some pretty good reasons to stop tea. And it's hard to prioritize certain things over other things because I want all of the things, and I can't have all of the things, obviously. But on the other hand, reasons to stop is, again, I don't want my voice to get too low. I don't want to get facial hair, and I feel like I very much am on the verge of having a lot more facial hair come in, like anytime now. And so I feel like now is the moment where I could stop tea and prevent that from happening. And I very much do want to prevent that from happening, but there's a million buts. Could go either way with tea right now. Like maybe the injection that I got 2 days ago will have been my last one. Maybe I won't go to get another injection 2 weeks from now. Maybe I will. I don't know. I am going back and forth and just dragging my feet. But I will try my best to keep you guys updated. Just keep in mind that, yeah, maybe next update on tea, I will have already stopped tea. Who knows? But if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching me blabber on for God knows how long this video is going to end up being. I will see you next time. Hopefully that won't be too long from now. In the meantime, check out my website, QueerAsCat.com, or follow me on social media maybe, or subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet done so, maybe. And I look forward to seeing you outside of YouTube. Bye. I don't know why I decided to tie this here like this. I don't know. Happy Pride Month, by the way, and YouTube drama aside, I hope you have an awesome Pride Month.
Terima kasih, Pi.